With the launch of Counter-Strike 2, Valve removed Overwatch and replaced it with Vaporware. VAC Live doesn't exist. I've played countless matches since launch and seen it work mid-game 0 times. They removed a system that banned hundreds of thousands of cheaters and gave us nothing. A myth, a promise. While we wait for VAC Live messages to magically appear, cheaters are lasting 50, 60, 100 matches. This is how Valve gave up on fighting cheaters. Counter-Strike 2 launched without Overwatch. For anyone who missed it, Overwatch was Valve's community anti-cheat system. Experienced players reviewed demos from reports of suspected cheaters and voted on whether they were guilty or not. When someone got banned that you reported, you'd also get a notification on your main menu letting you know that a player you reported has been permanently banned. The system wasn't perfect, but it worked. Hundreds of thousands of cheaters were removed from the game. But here's what really mattered. It was visible. We could see it working. You knew real people were watching those demos. Cheaters knew they'd eventually get caught and reviewed. That visibility built trust in the system, even when it took time. We also know now that Overwatch was training Valve's AI. All those cases that we reviewed, supposedly feeding data into VACNet's machine learning to make it smarter. If that's true, their AI learned from millions of community reviews over the years. So, what exactly did we get in return? VAC Live, an AI-powered system that's supposed to detect cheaters mid-match and ban them in real time. No waiting, no human review needed. The system can supposedly identify cheating behavior and cancel matches instantly if it detects someone using hacks, or anything else that it deems suspicious. In theory, this should be the ultimate anti-cheat. Faster than Overwatch, smarter than human reviewers, and even more importantly, it can be done in real time rather than waiting for a demo review after the fact. It was the perfect evolution. There's just one massive problem. Nobody can prove that it actually works. I've played hundreds of Counter-Strike 2 matches since launch. Premier, competitive, casual, it doesn't matter. VAC Live messages in the middle of my games don't ever appear, and I'm far from the only one noticing this kind of thing. The Global Offensive subreddit is flooded with threads asking if VAC Live even exists, and a lot of the time, people express genuine shock when they see one single instance of it doing anything. The most notable examples of VAC Live and VACNet doing something have been false positives, like when Doc received a cooldown for looking too suspicious. And don't get me started on the time that players got cooldowns for using a 180-degree quick turn console command that's literally built into the game. VAC Live is invisible, and invisible means unaccountable. Here's where it gets worse. On April 25th, 2024, Valve released a patch note claiming that Overwatch was back in Counter-Strike 2. 7 months after launch, the community finally got what they'd been begging for. Except they didn't. Valve lied. Counter-Strike 2 launched September 27th, 2023. It's now been over 2 years. Millions of matches have been played, and nobody has access to this magic Overwatch. The feature simply doesn't exist. No UI, no case review system, no XP rewards for taking out the trash, nothing. They announced it was added, but they must have been drunk because they never actually added it. Want to know what a functional anti-cheat looks like? Face it, their system uses kernel-level access, which, yes, some players hate because it has root access to your PC. But here's what it delivers. Actual bans. When I check my Leadify, I can see every match that has a player that has received a ban in it. The last one, over 7 months ago, and he was Faceit banned, not VAC banned. Faceit also publishes their ban statistics. You can refresh their ban feed in real time, and players get notifications when someone they reported gets removed. The system is visible, accountable, and provably functional. Everything that VAC Live just isn't. The real test of any anti-cheat isn't whether it catches some cheaters. It's whether it catches them before they ruin hundreds of matches. And this is where VAC Live's invisibility becomes a crisis. Go to any CS2 cheat forum and you'll probably find people with accounts with over 100 plus competitive and premier matches played while actively cheating, bragging to everyone else about it. These aren't sophisticated private cheats costing thousands of dollars. Many of these are just simple public cheats, free downloads, the kind Overwatch used to catch within 10 to 15 matches. The system catches legal gameplay more reliably than it catches actual cheaters. This invisibility has destroyed something Overwatch actually built: trust. When you got that notification saying a player you reported was permanently banned, you knew the system worked. You knew real people reviewed the case. You knew cheaters faced consequences. And the cheaters knew it too. They knew their demos would eventually get reviewed. And that visibility created deterrence, even if it took time. Getting caught was more of a when than an if. With VACnet, your reports are more of a hope or a prayer. When you report someone now, it feels like screaming into the void. Maybe the AI reviewed it, maybe it didn't, maybe the player got flagged, maybe they're still playing. Valve's AI experiment might be sophisticated, it might be analysing millions of data points per match. But if nobody can see it working, if cheaters can play for months without consequences, if the community has zero faith in the system, then it doesn't matter how advanced the technology is. And an unaccountable system does not build trust. They destroy trust. December 6th, 2018, Valve made Counter-Strike free-to-play. Overnight, they removed the only barrier really preventing cheaters from instantly creating new accounts, the $15 price tag. Before this update, every VAC ban cost a cheater real money. Get caught, pay $15 to start over. A small financial consequence that made serial cheating slightly more expensive. But when Counter-Strike went free-to-play, zero consequences. Create unlimited accounts. Cheat on one, get banned, spin up another in 30 seconds. The only real cost is your time. And Valve's justification for this? Well, it was growing the player base with Danger Zone, their Battle Royale game mode that nobody asked for and even fewer people played. They wanted higher concurrent player numbers for their quarterly reports, and they got those numbers. They also got an explosion of active cheaters. Now, Valve seemed to think just a little bit about this, and their solution at the time was Prime status matchmaking. You could pay the $15, which was the same game price as before, or grind to level 21, and after that you would only match with other Prime players. Problem solved, right? Wrong. Forcing players to grind for Prime status only worked if the anti-cheat catches cheaters before they reach Prime eligibility. But we all know that VAC on its own doesn't exactly catch many cheaters. So cheaters simply had to play 20 to 30 matches, hit level 21, get Prime status, and continue cheating in protected matchmaking. Thankfully, somewhere in 2021, Valve realized that the level 21 requirement was not the best idea and removed it from the game entirely. So when they get caught now, they just pay the $15. Just like they did before. The problem is that cheaters should be permanently locked out after getting a VAC ban. Valve have literally monetized cheater accounts, so in a way, there's an incentive for them to have such a terrible policy. And the trust factor system? Same problem. High trust factor means nothing when the anti-cheat doesn't detect cheats. Cheaters maintain high trust by not getting reported excessively, not rage hacking, and playing legit enough to blend in. Good cheaters aren't stupid. They use it to supplement their existing skill level. They know how the system works. Here's what the free-to-play model actually created: a cheater pipeline that destroys new players. A new player downloads Counter-Strike 2. It's a free game and it's super popular, so why wouldn't they want to play? Unfortunately, this new player has a low trust factor by default. He gets matched with other new accounts. Half of them are cheaters on fresh accounts. He gets destroyed every match and doesn't understand why everyone has perfect aim and knows exactly where he is. This has 3 realistic outcomes. He quits the game entirely, he buys Prime status hoping it gets better. It doesn't. Or he downloads cheats himself to compete with everyone else. That third option, that's Valve's system actively creating new cheaters. When legitimate gameplay feels impossible, when every death feels suspicious, When you can't tell if you are bad or if everyone else is cheating, the logical conclusion is, if I can't beat them, I'll join them. This is the environment that Valve created, not by accident, by choice. They chose case sales and player count metrics over protecting their own community. Want to know how many players got VAC banned last month? You can't. Valve doesn't actually publish those numbers. Want to know if that player you reported got banned? Good luck, you might get a notification, but then again, you probably won't. Want to see VAC live statistics, detection rates, false positive rates, machine learning accuracy? Valve will never tell you. Every piece of anti-cheat data that we have comes from third-party websites scraping the Steam API. Sites like CS2 and other community-run ban trackers do the work that Valve refuses to do. This isn't incompetence. This is a deliberate choice to avoid accountability. The silence tells you everything. If VAC Live was working, Valve would be shouting it from the rooftops. They'd publish success stories. They'd show ban statistics. They'd prove the AI works. Instead, nothing, because there's nothing to show. They've given up on visible anti-cheat because it requires ongoing investment, community management, and admitting when things go wrong. The AI approach let them pretend they solved the problem without actually doing any of that work. But here's what they didn't count on. We're not stupid. We can see the cheaters. We can track the accounts. We can document the problem they refuse to acknowledge. Valve sacrificed community trust for operational convenience. They chose invisibility over accountability, and now, 2 years into Counter-Strike 2, they are stuck. Admitting VAC Live failed means admitting their entire CS2 anti-cheat strategy was a mistake. Bringing back Overwatch means admitting they shouldn't have removed it, and they should have worked harder to reintroduce it properly in the first place. So, they stay silent and we keep playing in a game where cheating has little to no consequences. Some of you are thinking, VAC Live works invisibly so cheat developers can't figure it out. That's the whole point. But here's the problem with that logic. Invisible, once again, means unaccountable. If we can't see it working, we can't verify it's working. And when cheaters play for months without bans, when the same accounts rack up 100 plus matches with rage hacks on, the evidence suggests it isn't working. Yes, server-side AI has advantages, but it also has hard limits. It can't see what's on my screen. It can't detect wall hacks that don't change my movement patterns. It can't catch radar hacks if I'm smart about how I use that information. That's where Overwatch filled the gap. Human reviewers caught the subtle stuff that AI might miss. And before you say, Overwatch was flawed because silver players reviewed cases, it wasn't, because Overwatch weighed your verdicts by your rank and accuracy. A global elite's verdict carried a lot more weight than a silver's. The system accounted for the skill differences. Was it perfect? No. But a flawed system that catches thousands of cheaters is infinitely better than an invisible one that catches none. Valve removed Overwatch, a system that worked, that we could see, that the community trusted, and replaced it with a ghost. VAC Live is marketing. It's vaporware. 2 years into Counter-Strike 2, nobody can show consistent evidence that it's doing anything. The April 25th patch note claiming Overwatch returned, a lie. The trust factor system, meaningless when the anti-cheat doesn't detect cheats. Until Valve show us proof, ban statistics, detection rates, anything, we are left assuming they've given up. That fighting cheaters is too hard, too expensive, too embarrassing to admit that they have failed. And the sad part, they don't have to stay silent. They could bring back Overwatch tomorrow. They could publish transparency reports. They could rebuild the trust that they destroyed. But they won't. So here we are, playing a game where cheating has zero consequences, where reporting feels pointless, where new players either quit or become cheaters themselves. Valve chose this, and until they choose differently, this is Counter-Strike's reality. If you want Valve to actually listen, make some noise, share this video, let them know that we're not buying the silence anymore, and we want things to be better for all of us. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Kotek for more Counter-Strike deep dives, drop your experiences with Counter-Strike 2 cheaters in the comments. I want to hear your stories, and most importantly, as always, take care.